Miguel, my friend, how are you?
My brother, how are you?
Fantastic. It is an amazing Monday after this past weekend. How about you?
It was a pretty cool weekend. I had a great time in St. George, except for the 3.5-hour drive back.
Oh, lucky for you, it was 3.5.
Yeah.
That was just the delay for us, and we tried to make it around the accident. It turned into 5.5 for us.
Oh, yeah.
And we had friends that showed up at 1 and at 3 in the morning afterwards.
Yeah, that was good planning, yeah.
It was a terrible accident. I hope everybody's okay. But,
Me
man,
too,
what a
yeah.
weekend. Good weekend.
It was a great weekend,
Yeah, man. So you've got your idea of a soft opening. What you thinking about?
Well, this is a little bit different than what we'll be discussing today. But, the metaphor of stone soup?
Never heard it.
You've never heard of it, really?
Stone soup.
Wow.
I'm trying to visualize stone soup. Sounds like a juxtaposition.
Well, wow. Okay, I was hoping you... Okay, well, stone soup, there's a story of 3 soldiers who walk into a village and have nothing to eat. They go door to door, and nobody wants to share because the first household says, all we have is carrots. Can't help you. They send the soldiers away. And then the second household says, all we have is peas. Can't help you. Send the soldiers away. The third household says, all we have are potatoes. Can't help you. Send them away, right? So the soldiers set up a pot in the middle of the village, and they start boiling stones, right? And so it's an old-time adage. And anyway, so they're boiling the stones. The villagers all get kind of interested, and pretty soon you kind of can imagine how the rest of the story goes. Each one decides they're going to come and contribute what they have, and pretty soon the whole village has a pretty nice stew because everybody contributed together.
Interesting.
Well, that's an old story, probably why you don't know it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Yeah. And what makes that story interesting is in the 1950s, when China's economy was pretty critically bad, they used to take stones out of a river. These were very porous stones. And they would take them out of the river, and they would put herbs and spices with these stones and prepare a meal. And the reason why is because the stones were so very porous, they had sort of a fish taste to them. And it would remind them of better times when they could get clams and the like out of the rivers,
Okay.
And so, and they would suck on the stones, right? And then, of course, eat the herbs and everything. Obviously, they didn't eat the stones, but they would suck on the stones. Well, funny enough, recently, that's kind of come back in China, not because they needed it to, but it's sort of... kind of a throwback sort of thing, and some people are critical of it. Some people think it's funny.
So they're doing it metaphorically.
Yeah. The Gen Z in China, I think they're called the lay down generation in China because they're having incredible difficulty in China getting a job. And so anyway, that particular generation, they're doing the stone soup thing.
Interesting.
And they're saying, this is what you guys are leading us into. We're going to have to do what our parents and grandparents dealt with in the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating challenges.
Yeah,
and
China's a whole...
interesting approach as to how they're the population is addressing that within that. I don't even know how to label that.
Yeah.
Government, I guess we can say.
Yeah. Well, it is a government. Yeah. There's no question about it.
Interesting. Well, that's a warm-up to our conversation today. I want to thank you so much for joining in on this episode 7 of The Real Estate and the Economy This Week with Jared Uraine from Vice Realty, the 5 Diamond Group, and the blind economist, Miguel Francis. Miguel A. Francis, as you say.
Yeah.
Some people know you as Mike.
Yep.
I know you as Mike, but I call you Miguel just to bug you.
Well, my oldest best friends, a few of them call me Miguel, but most people know me as Mike or Michael. Yeah.
Right on, man. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode. We'd like to take a moment just to remind you that if you do enjoy this content, please make sure you click on the bell for reminders as they will get posted every week, 2 p.m. on Tuesday, as we pursue the current changes and trends in the economy and in real estate this week. Right. Miguel Francis, Michael Francis can be found on LinkedIn under Miguel A. Francis. Is that correct?
No, it's under Michael
Anthony Francis.
Michael Anthony Francis, the blind economist on LinkedIn.
Yes, and you can actually just do the Google search for The Blind Economist, and you're going to find his content right there. He also publish additional weekly content separately.
I do a commentary on The Blind Economist. It's a YouTube channel that comes out on Thursdays, and I will be adding personal finance, which will be coming out on Mondays. I believe one's going to come out today at 3 p.m. It's about how to manage your credit card debt.
All right.
And I will be doing interviews with people from different industries from around the globe.
Yes,
and
you are. You've already got how many lined up now?
3. I got 3 lined up. A technology individual in Ukraine, a business news anchor out of Nigeria, and a person right here near Las Vegas in Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
He provides armor protection in your vehicles if you happen to be a very wealthy person and you don't want an assassination attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in my schedule. I don't mind. If it's my time to go, I'm on. But I'd love to hear more. I think we're going to join. I think I might join you with a couple of those episodes. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to have you as a co-host.
Look forward to it.
Depends. They're in different parts of the world. If they want to interview at 4 a.m. our time.
I love being your friend in the sense that it makes me change my perspective in life. You have no perception of day or night, or so it doesn't matter to you as long as you get your sleep in. You're good.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we're doing stuff at 1 a.m, 2 to 3 a.m, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's always pitch dark to me. Yeah.
Well, to get us started this week, you're going to help us understand a little more of what's been happening in the news around J.P. Morgan and their predictions. Is that right?
Yes. Of course, now you didn't know stone soup, so now I'm forced to ask. But this one I know you know. You know what it means to cook a frog, right?
Well, you don't want to do it by already boiling water.
Right. That's right. So for your listeners that may not know, when you want to cook a frog, you put him in nice, cool water. He's comfortable with it. You slowly turn up the heat. The frog doesn't notice it until it's too late. Well, J.P. Morgan says that's the way we're going to move into a recession. J.P. Morgan economists have predicted that we are most likely going to what they call boil the frog recession. So they've
taking a little longer than the way the market had anticipated.
Yeah, the market's been talking about a recession, for over a year now. But J.P. Morgan sees us going into recession as in synchronization. I like they use that word synchronization with other economies around the world. It makes me think of like synchronized swimming. Yeah.
It's a beautiful little display. Everybody's doing the same thing at the same time. So
we're all going to go into the recession in a synchronized way. That's the highest probability according to J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan says that we only have a 23%. Oh, I'll tell you what. Let's play this because I'm blind. Hold up, your finger. You have 5 fingers.
5. Yeah,
but just hold up one. But don't tell me what. Hold up a number between 1 and 5, but don't tell me the number.
Okay.
Do you have your?
Sure.
Okay. Is it on camera? Can the viewers see it?
Lex.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Great. So I have to guess. I'm going to say 3. How many fingers did you hold up? 2. So that helps us to understand that J.P. Morgan says there's only a 23% chance that we'll miss a recession at all.
How'd you plan that one, Ed?
Pardon?
How'd you plan that one?
I've been thinking, bro. I got to make it a little bit interesting, right?
All right.
For those who, some people say I make things too complex. I thought that would break it down a little bit.
Dang, that was pretty good, man.
So, the same way I couldn't pick how many fingers you had, that's the probability of us not having a recession.
Because it could be whatever it is.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Because 23%, that's the same as me trying to guess how many fingers you had up, right?
All right.
Right. Yeah, 5 finger. See how that works?
Nicely done, my friend. Nicely done.
Yeah. Well, I had to get Alexa to help me with the math, but no. It's a good thing for Alexa. I have all kinds of assistants. Alexa, Siri, my wife. But,
So one of those is actually a problem,
Right.
And it's your Apple device to be specific, because Kathy is awesome. She's amazing.
Alexa's okay. Yeah. Okay. So okay. So anyway, 23% chance that we will not have a recession. So in all seriousness, what that means is, in the same way I couldn't pick how many fingers you had, it's quite probable we're going into a recession. So all of us kind of want to plan ahead. And J.P. Morgan, they gave us 4 different likelihoods as to what was going to happen.
Okay. So you've got 4 likelihoods. For the everyday Joe Schmo that like myself, what does that extended recession experience, how does that impact us on a daily?
Well, when we get to it, a recession is like it sounds. It means that unemployment is a little bit of a problem. The economy is going to need to be stimulated. There's, if your neighbor is unemployed, it's a recession. If you're unemployed, it's a depression. Yeah, it's more serious. But it means that purchases are going to be more complicated, whether it be real estate or television. Everything's going to be more expensive. Borrowing is more expensive, and wages increasing is going to be lower. So rather than discussing what a recession looks like, I kind of want to cover what JP Morgan, what the probabilities are. Okay. So the first one is it's most likely out of 4 that we're going to synchronize with the other economies, and it's because of all the other economies are increasing their central bank rates. Just to name a few that have happened over the last couple of weeks: Canada, the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom went up, surprising everybody, by 50 basis points. Switzerland, Denmark, Turkey, Australia. There's quite India. Most all the central banks around the globe, with the exclusion of China and Japan, are increasing interest rates because everybody other than China and Japan are dealing with pretty serious inflation. Turkey raised their central bank rate from 8.5 to 15.
Yikes!
And that was below market expectations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was below market expectations. But that central bank minister says she's going to raise it again. She says she's going to do it incrementally. That was only her first step.
Hafize Gay Erkin? Yes.
Thank you for telling me that name. I could never pronounce it. But yeah, it's going to happen again. The big question with the market is she going to stay in her role as the head of the central bank in Turkey, because the political leadership in Turkey does not believe, well, the president, to be specific, does not believe in raising interest rates. And so what has happened recently over the last few years is because the president has chosen to reduce interest rates, foreign investment has fled from Turkey because they're not following normal economic policy or fundamentals. Well, she's raised the rate, to 15, but the market is on a wait and see. They want to see if she's relieved of her duties. We'll see how long it lasts, because she's going against what the president in that country believes in. But the president in that country is not, an economist. She comes from Goldman Sachs, but I will say something interesting about her. Tell me her name again.
Hafize Gay Erkin.
Okay, outstanding. I'm glad that's better you than me, right? Now, she was previously from Goldman Sachs, so this is great. She's an economist, right? But she was also the co-CEO of which bank? Would you guess, Jared? You only get one guess.
Jeez, I have no idea.
First Republic.
Oh.
Yeah.
The
First Republic.
Insert dun dun dun.
Yeah, exactly. The First Republic that's no longer here. The First Republic on the Five Diamond Group, Real Estate in the Economy. Oh, no. Back then it was the Five Diamond Group movement.
Yeah, podcast.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's
still
Diamond,
there.
Yeah. We
predicted that.
in real time on a live stream said the Tuesday before it happened that they'd be gone by the following week, and sure enough, they were. As a matter of fact,
dun, dun.
that was a pretty cool live stream because I had you look up the price
In real time. We saw that trade.
We checked it out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she was now. To be fair, she was the co-CEO before that happened. But it's kind of like, the market's wondering, is she like into bungee cord jumping? Or,
Yeah, extreme extreme adventure here.
Yeah.
How far can we go?
Yeah. So anyway, because all the central banks around the globe, except for Japan and China, are raising the rates to fight inflation, J.P. Morgan thinks there's a 36% chance that we will, in a synchronized way, go into a recession as a combined group. Yeah.
In unison, synchronized swimming.
Yeah.
And next up for our gold championship is the world economy.
Yeah, exactly. And so their second most likely thing is, do you remember the song "Slip Sliding Away"?
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't sing on your YouTube thing. Oh look, everybody.
Actually, you can sing it, which is fine because that's not a copyright infringement because it's your own interpretation of it.
Well, I'm not going to sing on that.
Simon.
Yeah, everybody will sign off instantly. Whoop. So anyway, there's a recession. They call it a slip sliding recession, and that would be where the United States goes into recession on its own, while the rest of the world economy continues on its current path, and that would supposedly happen in Q4, in the fourth quarter of 2023, the first quarter of 2024. But J.P. Morgan only gives that one a 32% probability.
Right.
Yeah. And then
As opposed to a Goldilocks soft landing.
Yeah, that one is a 23% probability. They don't see that happening. And when the recession does get here, I see it as a pretty tough landing. When my wife and I went to Europe, and we were flying, the one time, we're not big time travelers, but when we were flying from Rome to Athens, we hit the tarmac hard. That was an extraordinarily bumpy ride to where we were told to lock up. There was a lot of turbulence on that particular ride, and even the flight attendants had to lock up. And when we landed, we hit hard. That was a hard land. It was such a pretty interesting ride that everybody clapped when we landed. It was that kind of thing.
Sounds like a landing in Vegas.
Yeah. And so that's what I anticipate. When the recession comes, it's back to boil the frog. By the time everybody figures out what's going on, it's going to be too late.
How far along do you think we are as far as the possibility of being in a recession? Personal opinion.
I don't see it happening until any time before Q2, the second quarter of 2024. I don't see it. It's going to be Q4. And just so you know, if you disagree with me, you're in good company. So does the rest of the market.
And the world is a better place when you're wrong.
The world is always a better place when I'm wrong. Yeah. Unemployment is way too strong. I know it came in at 3.7, but those are still historically low numbers. There's a tremendous labor shortage in this company, in this country. And wages are still climbing. I don't see, the labor market loosening up to be into a recession, we got to be looking at 4.5% or greater of unemployment. I don't see that happening before the third quarter of next year.
Is it a requirement, that unemployment, or is that just the trend?
Well, now we're back to the Goldilocks landing, the soft landing. And again, there's only a 23% chance, according to J.P. Morgan, that's going to happen. And I don't think that is going to happen.
That means we're anticipating somewhere in the next 6 months an extraordinary amount of layoffs.
The market is. I'm not. Yeah. Just
trying to translate what we're decoding what we're saying.
Yeah. Right. People tell me I complicate. Hold up 5 fingers. Let's try that. Yeah. No. The market is still very strong. Yeah. I have a son here in Las Vegas who is the HR director of a gaming place here in town. If I mention it, won't let me babysit the kids no more, so I won't mention it. But anyway, they got 2,500 employees, And just for his department in the HR department, they have trouble keeping staff. Now, my son's pretty good at hiring, so they don't turn employees that frequently in his department. But that's true in corporations around the country. Here in the United States, there's just this incredible labor shortage. It's tough to keep staff, and the churn has slowed down, but I don't see it slowing down to the point where we get to 4.5%, 5% unemployment before, Q3 of 2024. Mm-hmm. And that's something that has to happen in order to be in a recession. It's just, unless, of course, we find the 1 in 5 fingers and we find, the Goldilocks thing.
Option.
Not
Very
going to happen.
Good. And so with the way things have been going in the economy, it seems like things will continue to take longer, which is not what the markets wanted. But like you predicted, it's going to be well into next year before really things start adjusting correctly.
It's Q3 at the earliest. The Fed Bank in New York, I think they said it's a 71% chance that we'll be in a recession by May of next year, and so I don't think that's accurate. I think it'll be beyond that, and the market has priced in a rate hike for July. That's obvious, pretty much anybody can figure that out. But I believe there's going to be a minimum of 2 rate hikes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jerome Powell mentioned that.
Pardon?
Jerome Powell mentioned that possibility.
Well, right.
Yeah.
He when he went to the Hill to testify, he said that, and he said it again, back in the June FOMC meeting. So yeah, and we mentioned that here on the 5 Diamond Group. Yep. But I'm going to say that there's a 50% chance that if core CPI and consumer price index and core PCE price the PCE core numbers, expense numbers, if those numbers don't come in declining quick enough, I believe there's a 50% chance there'll be 3 rate hikes this year.
Interesting.
This year. And if those numbers still stay sticky, we can look for additional hikes, within the first 6 months of next year.
Interesting.
So we're back to cook the frog. As these hikes go up across the planet, not just here in the United States, as these numbers continue to go up, eventually it will impact the economies around the globe. And that's why J.P. Morgan puts the highest probability, a 36% chance, that the globe will all go into a recession together.
Most likely next year.
Well, in my opinion, Q3 or beyond, yeah.
Got it. Yeah. When we first started talking seriously about this conversation with the economy, I would say about, a year ago or so, you had told me that just the timing of how everything needed to happen, you laid it out for me, and you made it very clear that we wouldn't see normal or normalcy to some degree until at least 2025. That was a year ago.
And that's provided there's no, as the market likes to call it, disruptions.
Yeah.
Disruptions like climate change that is worse than anticipated, or like a war in Europe, or a pandemic or a major epidemic.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a supply chain shortage that nobody anticipated.
Yeah.
There's something that's going to happen. We just don't know what it is.
True. I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that you are very well educated in these cycles, and I'm grateful to be able to have you. Basically have these videos with you, because
it's fun.
You're breaking it down for us every week. You're helping us really kind of get some insights on it, and it really makes a difference. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I enjoy being here. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing it more.
Before we wrap it up, do you have anything else? You have some predictions you wanted to make?
Just keep an eye on the core PCE numbers and the core CPI numbers, the inflation numbers, and I know you might want to keep a little bit of an eye on what central banks around the globe are doing, because the world is one neighborhood nowadays. And of course, the near revolt in Russia over the weekend is going to have a trickling effect on the global economy. There may be changes, we don't know. And the market has not made any decisions on that as of yet. It's still an unfolding story. And you might think to yourself, well, that's way over there. Way over there is going to impact us. The most likely thing to consider would be energy. And last of all, I know I repeat this like a broken record, we have to keep our eyes on the smoldering, ready to burst into flames commercial real estate market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That could be something that changes everything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Always a pleasure, my man.
It's always best when I'm wrong. I could be completely wrong. And if make all the comments. Please tell me how wrong I am.
Yes, right? Let's see the haters. Bring them on.
Yeah, bring them on. Yeah, I'm good with that.
When we were in Japan, we had a neat experience with my friend that we were traveling with, and it was more of a Zen moment that we kind of experienced at the time. I'll briefly summarize.
With your friend you were traveling with?
Yeah.
I mentioned it last time, but again, that wasn't me.
That's correct. Because we booked it years ago, man.
Okay, no, I'm just messing with you.
I know.
Yeah,
we'll do something. Believe me, we will.
Oh no, if it's anything beyond Henderson, we can't make the trip.
Hey, we travel every week to my office here, so.
Oh well, there you go. Yeah, that's almost as far as Smith's Pharmacy. So okay.
Yeah. So the Zen moment that we kind of created, I guess you can say, is the phrase that we are utilizing and that I want to kind of make T-shirts out of is butterfly don't care.
Oh,
butterfly don't care.
Right.
When you think about it, right? You're walking along, you see a brick wall, and these people are creating divisions between their property and the streets, right? And they put spikes on the top of these fences that just prevent the pigeons and the birds. But the butterfly comes along, and just sits on that spike, and says, "I don't care about your spikes.
Yeah.
I don't care about you. In fact, what's the purpose of a butterfly? But to be beautiful.
Right.
It doesn't care about anything else. Doesn't compare about any of the drama.
Right.
Butterfly don't care."
I like it.
It's a nice little phrase we're using everywhere that we can. So
I like it. Yeah, that is pretty good. Yeah, unfortunately, the planet's never been more divided.
Right.
Yeah, it's humans that seem to create the turmoil.
It's the politics that wants to burn. So
not the butterflies.
Not the butterflies, man.
Yeah.
Be like a butterfly.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, like Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
There you go.
That does it for this episode of Real Estate and the Economy this week with me, Jared Uraine, at the 5 Diamond Group here at Vice Realty, and the blind economist, Michael Francis. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We look forward to joining with you next week. In the meantime, be cool. Be like a butterfly.